Bonjour à tous, c'est Lamé, j'espère que vous allez bien. On se retrouve aujourd'hui pour l'épisode 7 déjà de Vampyr. Et là, nous allons continuer notre quête principale, chantage à Whitechapel. L'épisode précédent, nous avions découvert que c'était Dorothy Crane qui faisait chanter la vampire Elizabeth Ashbury. Décidément, il y a beaucoup de vampires qui s'appellent Elizabeth, je trouve. Et le problème, c'est que Whitechapel, c'est un petit peu bondé d'ennemis, donc on va pas rire du tout pour y aller. Oh non, c'est sérieux? Ah, si, à moins que je passe. Si je fais une ronde spéciale, j'arrive à avoir celui-là. Si j'assomme celui-là, je suis bien. Oh putain! Ouais, ouh. Ça va me faire du bien. Oh la vache, mais c'est rempli de chasseurs de vamps. Ils savent que je suis là. Il y en a que deux là. Ils sont quel niveau? Ah, si j'y arrive pas. Putain. Allez. Allez. Wow. Bon, par contre, j'ai mis un niveau 12 avec. Je fais le tour. Je suis pas très courageuse. Ah, mais non, je peux pas faire le tour. C'est pas le choix. Oh! Wow, 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 wow. Wow! Woo! Woo! tuer d'abord celui-là. Wow, mais enfin! Bon, faut pas y aller à la bourrine hein, là-dedans. Bon, j'ai encore un à tuer. Oh bah d'accord, il laisse ses potes tranquilles. Mais non, mais tu vas revenir ici, mon gars. Bon, je vais pas prendre de sang sur lui, tant pis. Par contre, j'ai gagné pas mal de trucs. Elles sont pour être un peu tranquilles. J'aimerais trouver des gens à qui parler.
Whitechapel.
Oh.
This neighborhood is linked somehow to the kind Lady Ashbury's blackmail. First, let's find this Petrescu fellow.
On va dévorer le refuge, je pense, hein, parce que là... Le refuge, il faut aller par ici.
Are you all right?
The bastard hit the wall next to me. I don't even know if he meant to miss.
If you've been hurt, I can help you. I'm a doctor.
Name's Albert. Remember it. Now bugger off.
Oh, si je veux, je peux le charmer. Albert Palmer. Fatigue. Je sais même pas si j'ai encore des médicaments pour ça. Va falloir que j'aille en refaire au refuge. Ouais, je crois qu'on va avoir plein de gens à soigner ici. Hein. Et si on veut faire remonter la barre, il va falloir absolument les soigner.
What happened? Did you really steal that man's medication?
Hey, I didn't do anything. It ain't me.
All right. Perhaps the poor drunk just confused you with someone else.
Sod off, mister. You ain't got no clue what's going on here. Bastard was a soldier in the war, so now he's got the right to shoot me.
It's true. I'm not familiar with this part of town. Perhaps you could help me.
I said sod off. Go find yourself another guide.
Même pas un mot autrement, gamin? Sérieux? Non mais... je cherche Nurse
Do you know Nurse Dorothy Crane from the Pembroke Hospital? If you know anything about her, I'd appreciate it.
Never heard of her. She's pretty, I'll keep an eye out.
Ils ont tous à trouver jolie. Non mais sérieux?
Goodbye, young man.
Wet boots will be proud of me.
Someday you'll understand.
On va parler à Benjamin.
What? Shooting a boy in the middle of the street. Not the
Oh,
best
bug.
thing to do, wouldn't you say?
What? You saw what happened? Who are you?
I'm Dr. Reed, and I'd like to ask you a few questions, if you promise me to set your gun aside.
No. Look, I'm not a violent man. I'm Benjamin Palmer, doctor. And no one can help me. Not even you.
Pourquoi ça? Mais bien sûr que je vais pouvoir te soigner.
What can you tell me about this place?
Nothing to say, really. This is where I used to live, and this is where I live now.
You don't have anywhere to go? No family that would welcome you?
Not since the death of my wife, Albert's mother. She was sick.
Ah, c'est son fils.
Long before the flu and all this shit.
You mean you used to have a better life?
Yeah, I had a wife, a home, and a job. I even used to have a name. Now I'm just Ben. Ben the Trap.
Perhaps you could focus for a moment and tell me your troubles.
I'm sick, broke, and my son just stole my pills. Everything's coming up roses.
C'est ton fils quand même. Question personnelle.
Whatever the boy did, I'm sure he didn't deserve a public execution.
I swear I didn't want to hit him. It's just that I'm sick in the head, you see, and the boy just frayed me last nerve.
What is it, Benjamin? It was the war, wasn't it? Your nerves are shot, aren't they? I need some answers, Private. From one soldier to another.
The doctors called me a liar, a coward. Put me in a straitjacket, locked me up. Finally, they sent me back to the front lines with a handful of tablets.
Je sais pas quoi lui répondre parce que j'ai l'impression que ça va me faire louper un indice. Si je lui dis ça, ça va peut-être le fâcher. Ça aussi.
It's a pity that doctors still practice such barbaric methods. It's a dishonor to our profession.
Now only the pills stop me thinking about this shit. To not hear the explosions. I'm even scared of the dark these days.
Oh là là, c'est triste. Bon, bah, du coup, j'ai plus d'indices qui me permettent de
Do you know
débrouiller.
Nurse Dorothy Crane from the Pembroke Hospital? Have you heard anything?
It's funny, I've been searching for her too. I need some pills.
Mm.
But the woman is a phantom, if you ask me.
Really? And why is that?
Word is she ain't real. She's just a cover for some doctor who runs an illegal dispensary for migrants.
Au moment on a appris qu'elle tenait un dispensaire illégal.
A
Ok.
gun, alcohol, and a bad temper make a terrible cocktail, sir. Goodbye for now.
J'ai pas regardé du coup s'il avait comme maladie. Il a la migraine. Et j'ai pas du tout de traitement pour ça. Et lui, il y a quoi? Fatigue, ça, oui, je peux si je veux en refaire. Parce que je pense pas que j'en ai encore dans mon inventaire. Ah si, j'ai un traitement pour la fatigue. Je vais le donner directement au gamin.
The wet boots will be proud of me.
How are you, boy?
I'm not your boy, alright? Now piss off.
Ah bah, petit gamin, moi je vais te soigner, donc tu vas un petit peu la fermer.
Do you need assistance?
Please. Feeling tired these days.
Ah bah je dis pas, d'accord. Ah mais zut
I will see you later. Goodbye, young man.
Je pense que je peux rien en refaire un au refuge.
Arsehole littering the streets.
Bon, il est où ce refuge? Il est pas très loin.
Its effectiveness
Sort
has
of
been
bloody
proven
chance
by
you,
many.
innit?
Even the flu is
Drugs
no
for
match for
sick
the
and
stronger
suffering.
cordial.
Avant de parler à cette dame là.
The stronger cordial can be the answer to all your problems, as long as you have the money.
Ah mais il y a des corps de partout. Oh là là là, c'est tout tristouné ça. Bah j'ai pas trouvé le refuge. Ah bah non. Je vais pas au bon endroit.
Gangs are rules, they really, if you ask me.
Là-bas au-dessus. Non, non. c'est là, d'accord.
I cannot enter.
Tu te fiches de moi? Je peux pas prendre le refuge. Ok, je ne peux point prendre le refuge. Je suis venu juste ici pour rien. Il y a des corps partout. Je suis trop choquée. Bon, je trouve toujours pas de routine. Pétesco est là-bas. Bon, ici j'ai des petits rats à manger si j'ai besoin. J'avais une dame à qui parler.
Good evening, miss.
Good evening, sir. Are you interested in a miraculous cure for this unknown and deadly epidemic?
Actually, I am.
Then you have come to the right place. The famous Swanborough cordial is all you need to help keep you in perfect health.
Oh, really? Why didn't I hear about it during my studies? I'm Jonathan Reed, by the way. Dr. Jonathan Reed.
Ah, my brother has spoken of your research, sir. I'm Loretta Swanborough, and it's always a pleasure to meet a fellow healer.
Quelque chose me dit que c'est surtout qu'elle est pas médecin. Ok.
Tell me, who intrigues you most in Whitechapel?
The region itself is something to see, but I would say Camellia the mute florist who gives away her flowers.
What do you think of the locals?
Most of them are afraid or desperate.
Tu m'étonnes.
They all come to me eventually for my remedy.
Is there anyone I should avoid?
Cadogan Bates, without a doubt. The bloody bastard remorselessly exploits poor migrants as soon as they get here.
Question personnelle, j'ai rien. Je cherche Nurse
Do you
Crane.
know Nurse Dorothy Crane from the Pembroke Hospital? I'd like to know more about her.
I don't like to talk about competition.
Competition, you say?
Never met her, but it seems she provides some sort of medical care to the poor. The whole thing has to be some sort of scam.
Si jamais j'ai besoin, je peux aller chez elle. Par contre, pourquoi je peux pas débloquer le... Il est où, du coup? Ah, il faut aller plutôt par là. Ah, j'avais pas vu. Bon, on va toquer. J'espère que je peux rentrer.
What do you want? Leave me alone.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed. I'm looking for Nurse Dorothy Crane.
There is no Dorothy Crane here. Now goodbye.
I'm afraid this medical leaflet says the opposite.
Really? Well, I'm afraid I'm going to close this door right now. Go bother someone else, Mr. Doctor.
To enter that house, I must discover who this man really is. Maybe I could start by observing what he's up to.
Il m'a fermé la porte au nez. Sale petit rat. Elle est là.
A strange man was at the door with a pass for our medical facility. I refused him entry.
Darius, how could you know he didn't need our help?
His clothes were too finely tailored to be for Whitechapel.
Perhaps just a friend of that stray poet who is always about.
Richard Nethercott? No, not of the same cloth, this man. I suspect some machination from that journalist.
Clayton Darby. Is he still asking questions?
Yes. I saw him drifting around St. Mary's Church. I swear he is tracking me just downwind.
I must talk to that journalist or the poet. They must know about Darius. Nearby the church they just mentioned.
Bon, on doit retrouver Richard Nettercutt et Clayton Derby. Et par là... J'ai du mal à m'y retrouver. Désolée hein, si je mets tout le temps la map, mais...
Please, I don't have your money. Come on, Barrett, you know the game. You pay for peace of mind. Can't you just look the other way this week, Joe? Come on, we can sort it out, right?
It's not my call, Barrett. You pay one way or another.
Please, Joe. How long have we known each other? We even used to be neighbours, for Christ's sake.
I'd prefer not to give you another beating, Barrett.
Welcome, sir. Please, take a browse of my wares.
I'm Dr. Reed. I would like to ask you a few questions, if you don't mind.
Doctor? Interesting. I'm Barrett Lewis. Usually I don't have time to waste with talk, but at this hour of the night I can hardly refuse.
How is business around here?
Business? I have no business. Between this racket, theft, and customers getting scared, I'm losing money every day.
I see. Sounds like you blame someone in particular for your situation.
It's no secret Joe Peterson spends his time harassing merchants. But with me, he's trying to put me out of business once and for all.
As a merchant, you see Whitechapel every day. Have you noticed anything out of the ordinary recently?
Well, you mean besides the epidemic, the war, and all the usual crap? As long as I can remember, this part of town has been a bottomless pit, and no sign of the bottom yet.
Violence is increasing in the borough.
Yeah. A few nights ago, some blokes jumped me. Came out of one of the condemned workshops. Fever, madness, something like that.
Where did this happen? Why did you go there?
In the closed workshops nearby. I worked there as an apprentice in better days. Now I only go to find trinkets or tools. Too bad I was mugged though. There was good money in that little box of loot I lost.
Ah, une nouvelle enquête.
Have you been hurt?
No, but that's only because I ran like hell. Those men were raving lunatics, I tell you. Not even able to speak anymore, just screaming.
Ah, les escales. Certainement. Ça c'est bon. Question personnelle, on peut pas. Je cherche
Have you
mon
heard of a
screen.
nurse called Dorothy Crane?
Nurse Crane? So the bitch really is a nurse then? Always thought she was just some crafty foreigner, that one.
D'accord. C'est une très bonne infirmière.
Yes, she's a nurse, and quite a good one. What did she do to gain such notoriety?
Dorothy Crane ain't even a real name. Something like
Côté,
Dorothea Craniu. Something like that. Came to England
c'est
fleeing
pour
the
ça que c'est
war, I was
un
told.
écran
That doesn't
polonais ou un
explain
truc dans le
why
style.
she irritates you so much.
Your precious nurse Crane gives away medical supplies and prescriptions for free. I offered to sell it for a fair cut, but no. Miss Crane wanted to play the quiet saint.
Bah, c'est très bien. Donc du coup on a un indice sur Mademoiselle. Ah, derrière ce Petrescu, il est malade, il a une bronchite. J'adore l'image de celui-là, Joe Peterson. Il y en a certains, les images elles sont trop bien prises. Bien, on va voir ce que lui vend.
Show me what you have.
Bon, lui il vend des trucs. Donc lui ça doit être Joe Petrescu.
Excuse me, sir. I have a few questions for you.
Another journalist? I didn't answer the first one, so piss off.
I'm not a journalist, I'm a doctor.
A doctor, you say?
J'adore certains habitants
Quite a
en
rare
disant
breed
en
in
sérieux.
this part of town.
Really? But still, here I am. Dr. Jonathan Reed, at your service.
I'm Joe Peterson to some, but Colossus Joe to most. And I don't remember asking for your service, sir.
Ils ont un de ces francs-parler.
May I ask what you do around here?
I do whatever I want, and sometimes even more. Now sod off.
According to you, physicians are scarce in this part of town. Why is that?
Not familiar with this neighborhood, are you? I guess your fancy colleagues are too afraid of being stabbed in the back.
This part of town does have quite a reputation. Would you say it's justified?
Totally. Look at me, for instance. I always look my opponent in the eye before knocking him out.
How did you become the local bully everyone is afraid of, Joe?
There's no pride in roughing up poor bastards. But this is the only job I've found. And it pays well, too.
A job? So you're racketeering for someone else?
I got enlisted by the Wet Boot Boys, a gang from the docks. I'm their muscle for their dirty work.
Faut que j'aille dans le sens du poil. Ouais.
You survive at any cost, even at the expense of others. Perhaps that's just the law of nature.
I don't care what you think, sir. I do what I have to do for my own reasons, and that's that.
I'm not sure Mr. Lewis would agree with your by all means necessary philosophy, sir.
Oh, do you really think he's the poor victim here? Barrett can be as sneaky as anyone. Long ago, I even called the bastard my best friend.
D'accord, donc ils
Have
sont
you heard of a
amis.
nurse named Dorothy Crane? She's a colleague of mine and is supposed to live around here.
Dorothy Crane. Yeah, I know her. One of the few good souls who dare to help the sick around here.
Could you please tell me more about her?
She's a nice girl. Tries to help the migrants. I offered to give her a hand, but she said my reputation would attract too much attention.
Désolé de bailler, mais comme il est tard.
Goodbye, Mr. Peterson.
Mais bon, je ne pourrais pas dormir parce qu'il fait trop chaud. Du coup...
Hello, young man. I'm Dr. Reed, and I would like to ask you a few questions. May I enter, please?
Sorry, no, sir. My father does not like people entering our house, you see.
Your father is worried about you, boy. He asked me to look for you.
So my father actually worries about me then? Okay. Come on in.
T'inquiète pas, je vais pas te
I'm
manger.
Harry, by the way.
Pas tout de suite.
Is there only pain and suffering in this world?
Donc là, on est dans la maison des Peterson. Ce qui est bien, c'est qu'on peut piquer des trucs chez les gens. Bon, lui, il est malade aussi. Ah oui, j'avais oublié de vous dire. Quand j'ai dormi avec Jonathan, enfin, en fonction des personnages que vous avez soignés ou pas soignés, il y a soit la réputation d'un quartier qui remonte ou qui descend. Voilà. Une lettre de refus. Je vous laisse mettre sur pause. Ok. Donc on a un nouvel indice sur Joe. Je me suis paumée dans la maison. Bon, je vais parler à ce pauvre jeune garçon.
May I ask you a few questions?
I'm not bothered. What could be worse?
How do you feel?
I'm fine. I mean, it's not easy every day, but I'm fine. I'm just tired of being sick all the time. If only I could be tough, like... Well, you know.
Speaking of which, what can you tell me about your father?
My father is an idiot who makes idiot things. That's all I have to say.
Forgive my bluntness, young man, but you don't seem happy living in Whitechapel.
Why should I? I never wanted to come here in the first place. It was my father's decision. And look around you. Does this look like a nice place to live?
Votre père a fait de son mieux.
I'm sure your father did his best when he found this house. Times are tough for everyone, young man.
That's exactly what my father says. Harry, you should be grateful for what you've got. But I wasn't even consulted when we moved here.
If life here is so terrible for you, why don't you just leave this place? Have you ever spoken to your father about it?
I don't go outside. It terrifies me so. I went outside once without my father noticing and I saw terrible things. Bloody and frightening things.
So that's why you stay at home all day? For fear of the epidemic?
I'm not afraid of disease or death, Dr. Reed. It's the living I'm afraid of.
Your father and Mr. Lewis used to be good friends. What happened, Harry?
I was young then. I don't remember Mr. Lewis ever coming back again after my mother died. Or was it after my father started bullying him? I don't know.
Have you tried speaking to Mr. Lewis about it?
I don't go out often, but yes. And he scolded me and told me to leave him alone. I guess my father frightens him too much.
But you are not responsible for your father's actions.
Am I not? Dad always says that he joined that gang for my safety. So if I wasn't born, people wouldn't be worrying about Colossus Joe.
Oh là là, c'est compliqué.
Would it ease tensions with your father if he got an honest job? Because he tried, you know.
I can't say. I'd be glad if he dropped his thuggish activities. But I'm not sure it would be enough.
Why is that?
Sometimes I suspect it's me, Dr. Reed. Or it's this life. It's like I can't find my place.
Mais si tu vas trouver ta place.
Do you know Nurse Dorothy Crane from the Pembroke Hospital? I'd like to know more about her.
Yes, I know her. She came here to examine me when I was very sick. She said I should go out more.
Donc lui il est malade aussi. Il nous manque juste un seul indice sur lui. Il a quand même pas mal bien parlé.
Goodbye, young man. Take care of yourself.
Is there only pain and suffering in this world?
Du coup, c'est par où? Ah, je la connais pas. On va lui parler.
Don't be shy, handsome. What can Christina do for you?
I'm not looking for what you're
Une fille de joie. Super.
But I'd like to ask you a few questions, if I may. I'm a doctor. Dr. Reed.
All right then, but be quick. Though I usually get paid when I open my mouth.
Excellent. Beaucoup de
Christina, have you been examined? The epidemic is spreading fast in London, and you could be exposed, or expose others.
I don't like doctors or hospitals, but I don't like you asking questions.
Considering your line of work, I assure you it is only a matter of time before you have health issues.
If it is going to happen, it will happen. Right now, I need money. That's what's important.
You can put your own life in danger, that's your decision. But what about your clients? If you're contaminated, you will put them in danger too.
And you think that would worry me? If you knew the men I deal with, their health would not be what you'd worry about.
Ah, on avait ces riches qui la payent. Question personne.
Tell me about yourself.
Are you joking with me? People don't usually come to see me for conversation.
I have no interest in your work. I am, however, curious as to what led you into this career.
Short story. The war, exile, and England. This country is not especially welcoming. I've been refused many jobs because of where I am from. I had few options left.
I always thought I was the master of my own fate. But now I know we don't always have control over
Ouais.
I don't judge you.
You know, this money is not only for me. I have good reasons to need this money quickly. But it is not your concern, Doctor.
Bon.
Do you know Nurse Dorothy Crane from the Pembroke Hospital? Anything you can tell me about her would be helpful.
I don't know her, but I know her name is Dorothea Crăciunescu. She came from Romania like me and many others.
You seem to respect her.
Dorothea helps the sick people of Whitechapel. Everyone should respect that.
Goodbye, miss. Take care of yourself as best
Ouais,
you can.
dommage qu'elle en est venue à faire du chantage. Mais bon, c'est pour avoir des médicaments gratos. Ça doit être celui-là, non, Clayton?
Excuse me, sir. Are you familiar with this part of town? Name's Clayton Darby.
Ouais, c'est Clayton Darby.
Sorry, I'm new to Whitechapel. But perhaps you could help me since you're a journalist. My name is Jonathan Reed.
Dr. Reed, the famous surgeon. I'll gladly help if I'm able, sir.
Why are the newspapers keeping silent about the Spanish influenza? It's as though none of you care.
There's a war going on. People shouldn't be demoralized by news of deadly diseases.
C'est un crime. C'est honteux. C'est tout à fait logique.
It's a disgrace. People are left to die alone. No one is properly informed of the risks.
These are bad times indeed. So much for the glorious British Empire.
What is a journalist doing in this borough after sunset?
He goes where none of his colleagues would dare to go, to inform the country.
So you risk your life to reveal the truth. I saw many reporters do the same during the war.
Whitechapel is the crucible of so many untold stories and tragedies. I want people to know them.
Il est en recherche de gloire, le mec.
That's quite honorable of you. But is the public interested?
Not at all, sir. And that's why I'm an independent journalist, hoping to sell some stories.
Have you any idea of the danger you face in these streets at night?
I've had to run and hide more than once from frenzied mobs incensed by the fever. Do you think the flu is really responsible for this, Doctor?
I must confess, some of my rational views have been shaken by recent events.
I'll remember to stay away from the district's roughest streets then.
Christina Popper claims she sells her body because she can't find any other work. Do you believe her?
Of course I do. Her story is exactly what I want my readers to understand. We live in an intolerant and divided nation.
Do you think things will ever change, Mr. Darby?
I believe the situation can only improve. And now that women can vote, I'm convinced things will change.
Ça avait déjà le droit de vote en Angleterre à cette époque-là.
I heard you're investigating an underground medical dispensary in Whitechapel. What do you know about it?
Not much, I'm afraid. They are wary of strangers, and I'm not really an acquaintance of theirs. Why do you care?
Qu'est-ce que je réponds? Je suis censée être...
It's confidential. Speaking as a doctor, I'm sure you understand.
Are you sure you're not just concerned about the repercussions that a scandal involving a certain Nurse Crane from the Pembroke Hospital would bring?
Without a doubt, you are a damn fine
Il est au
journalist,
courant.
Mr. Darby. What do you know of her accomplice, a man named Darius?
I don't know much about the man. He's very cautious. Never goes out. Doesn't seem to have any friends or family.
He has no relatives at all?
No. Except for that strange man, a poet named Richard Nethercott, who sometimes comes by. Darius would never let him in.
Where can I find this Mr. Nethercott?
He spends most of his time lurking around Whitechapel. talking to himself or declaring verses. These days, you can usually find him behind the church.
He never goes out?
No. A few days ago, he unexpectedly did. I followed him, but it was just a ruse to keep me away from his house.
Really? How do you know?
He went to the nearest mailbox, but just before posting his letter, he ripped it up and threw it away.
Ok. J'ai pas d'indice, donc c'est bon.
Goodbye, Mr. Darby. Farewell.
Bon. Faut trouver Richard Nettercutt et trouver la boîte aux lettres et le courrier à un moment donné. Ce qui est bien, c'est qu'on est quand même pris par là. Ah tiens, on doit avoir un prêtre là.
Forgive my interruption.
Do not apologize, my son. Father Tobias Whitaker is always happy to teach mortals about the incoming Armageddon.
I am Dr. Jonathan Reed, and I just have a few questions.
A scientist? You are much more lost than I thought, my son.
Si tu savais, mon pauvre, à quel point il est perdu, Jonathan.
What do you mean when you say that I am more lost than you thought?
All scientists are entangled in a world of causes and consequences, and most of them can't see the plain truth.
Quite a judgmental opinion, if you ask me. But what do I know? Blinded by science as I am.
But you are seeking answers, aren't you? Answers about the Armageddon about to strike the city. Answers about the hidden truth.
Well, I suppose I can spare a few minutes listening to your so-called truth.
As a doctor, you must be aware of the decimating epidemic. But let me tell you that this so-called Spanish flu is just the beginning of the end.
What do you mean?
The beast is finally revealing itself, corrupting the flesh and the heart of men. With my own eyes I have seen them, those minions from the abyss.
Really? And what would be your answer to this biblical threat?
We must fight the disease before this legion outnumbers us. But not with scalpels and microscopes. No.
What is left then?
Cleansing fire.
Tell me, Tobias, what exactly is your plan concerning the cleansing of this city?
God will recognize his own. More than once this city has risen from the ashes, hardened and purified by the flames.
Je sais pas quoi répondre si je perds un indice après.
Purification by fire has proved useful, but where do you stop? Burn the clothes? The buildings? The corpses? Worse?
Your lack of faith is predictable. But my task is to convince rational minds like yours to see the light. This is God's will.
You're mad and dangerous. You're nothing but a soulless butcher. A small-time Torquemada. The Savonarola of Whitechapel.
My son, if you think salvation is a free gift, go listen to the lies of that pompous fool, Joseph.
Joseph, a fool?
Vicar Larrabee of St. Mary's Church. While he continues preaching his fraudulent redemption, more and more people die in the streets.
Have you any friends? Any family left in these terrible times?
No. But I have a disciple I see as my son. He is so devoted. I send him to preach the good word in the heart of this corrupted city.
Where did you send him?
I sent Samuel to the Stonebridge Cemetery, where the pestilence and evil grows night after night.
You sent him on some preaching crusade during the epidemic.
As a true believer, Samuel will fear no evil while he walks through the valley of the shadow of death.
Il est taré, ce prêtre. Ouais.
Do you know Nurse Dorothy Crane from the Pembroke Hospital? I'd like to know more about her.
I don't like the liberal ideas of nurses, but I especially abhor that Nurse Crane you mentioned.
So, you're not exactly a fan of Florence Nightingale's work. But nurses are essential for modern healthcare.
Nuns should be the only women allowed to take care of male patients. It's obvious only they have the necessary moral fiber.
Why do you hate Nurse Crane more than other nurses?
Before coming to London, she was a member of the communist resistance in her country. That's what happens when you let a woman get involved in politics.
En plus de taré, il est misogyne le mec.
I have had enough for tonight.
Ah oui.
Goodbye.
Lui déjà je l'aime pas. Il me rapporterait combien si je le mange lui? J'ai aucune relation. Par contre il me faut un haut niveau pour l'avoir. Je les ai pas. Il y en a des gens malades là. Oh la vache. Il me reste 5 personnes à découvrir dans Whitechapel. Bouquet de fleurs. Dans lequel est caché un bon pour un examen gratuit. Camélia.
Good evening, miss. I'm Dr. Reed. I'd like to ask you a few questions. I know what you're thinking. A tall stranger who meets a girl in the street at night.
Ah ouais, les
It
muettes.
reeks of the penny dreadfuls. But I mean you no harm, truly. I know you understand what I'm saying. Your silence has nothing to do with you being mute, does it? Melia, I know you work for Dorothy Crane. Please tell me about her secret dispensary. A stubborn and mute comrade. Nurse Crane and Darius Petrescu have been clever.
Comment je vais la faire parler, la petite Camélia? En plus, elle est mignonne.
Very well. Goodbye then.
Ah voilà, j'ai trouvé la lettre de Darius. Je vous laisse mettre sur pause.
The content of Darius' letter to his children could give me more leverage to enter.
Bon, il me reste quand même les charnies Turcut à trouver. Et il est derrière l'église. Oh la vache. Oula! Oh la vache. J'ai pris cher. Il est vraiment derrière l'église, Monsieur Richard, avec tous les squelettes qui est dans le coin. Uh-huh. Oui, là-bas. Oh là là. Oh là là. Vive les cimetières.
Some of us come to this world.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed. I would like to ask you a few questions.
Please be my guest. Although I may not be the best informant regarding this part of town, my words speak about that which the eyes cannot see.
Really? Are you an artist of some kind?
I'm a poet, sir. Richard Nethercott, at your service.
May I ask what you're doing at this hour of night, sir? Do you live here?
Not at all. I'm just enjoying the pleasure of a quiet walk. Though night talks are always preferable, if you ask me. Especially with strangers.
Non mais ce mec il est taré, il aurait pu enfin, tomber sur l'escale.
But are you not afraid of the epidemic?
Oh, why should I? I see some equity in the Spanish flu. No flesh should be saved, say the scriptures. Good or evil, rich or poor, all are equal in the eyes of the flu.
If you say so. But as a physician in a time of epidemic, I must caution you to avoid unnecessary exposure, sir.
Thank you, Doctor. But we both know the seeker of truth has to go boldly where the weak dare not.
Are you aware that your life could be in danger in this part of town?
But this is where I must be to feel the real beat of the city. I had to come, see it for myself, alone.
I understand your need for solitude, but it's not safe around here.
I don't care. I don't have many friends, Doctor, and my family despises me.
If some misfortune came upon you, who would be here to help you?
Well, you for a start, my dear Doctor.
What are your thoughts on the terrible situation in this city?
Terrible, you say? No. Of course, the death of so many innocents is a tragedy. But the scourge has not been all bad for the city. Oh, no, sir.
What are you talking about?
Do you remember London before the flu? Noisy, cacophonic, quiet nowhere to be found. And now, listen to this oddly peaceful silence.
Yes. The enjoyable silence of the grave. You have a unique perspective on the situation, I must admit.
Most people fail to understand my perspective. I don't blame them. But how could I call myself a poet if I veiled my feelings?
Tell me, Mr. Nethercott, why seek inspiration in Whitechapel?
The place is not beautiful per se, but how to explain it? Stirring and challenging.
Do you not think it a little morbid?
On the contrary, sir. Whitechapel is full of life, full of beauty. Just like my dear muse, the wonderful Camellia.
What can you tell me about Camellia?
Not much. And that's the beauty of it. She can't speak, you know. She's a locked mystery who exhales kindness and sweetness.
D'accord, il est amoureux de Camélia.
Perhaps you're just afraid to find out the truth about your muse.
One day, perhaps, I'll ask her to come with me. But will she still be my wild flower of Whitechapel if she moves uptown?
And have you ever tried to learn more about her? Where she lives? How she survives? Whom she may know?
Maybe I prefer she remains an enigma. Reality can be so dull, don't you think?
No.
In what way, exactly?
The struggle by gaslight, the barren smiles and the arid hunger under the rain.
If you say so.
Such vibrant antagonism and vivid paradox. The stripped humanity raged across each street.
Vivid, of course, yes. And what about the poignant distress?
Oh yes, the poignant distress. You see what I mean, don't you? That's what I want to write about, and that's what Whitechapel is made of.
Did you know the mute florist is a member of a secret society?
No, I didn't. But I thank you for this information, sir. For it only enriches the mystery surrounding the precious Camellia.
Il est en train d'idéaliser.
Are you not curious? Is there not more you wish to know?
That girl has not an ounce of malice in her. whatever she may be hiding, it's certain to be for the benefit of most, if not all.
I fear you are a hopeless romantic, Mr. Nethercott.
Guilty as charged, Dr. Reed.
May I ask you a few questions about the district?
Extraordinary part of town, is it not? I'll be glad to help you, if I can.
I'm looking for Dorothy Crane, a nurse who lives in this vicinity.
Dorothy Crane. Oh, I love the name. The Crane of Whitechapel. Sounds very mysterious. But, sorry, no, never heard of her.
What can you tell me about an old man called Darius?
Darius Petrescu? Yes, I know him. At first, I thought he was only a small publisher. I invited him to publish my work, but his reaction was pretty clear.
Not interested in your talent?
Darius is an old political activist who takes delight in printing tracts and lampoons. Those communist activities only require mediocre writing skills.
I'll leave you alone, sir.
Darius is a bit less of a mystery now. It should not be that difficult to incite him to let me in.
Date de refus de publication. Je vous laisse mettre sur pause aussi. Bon, j'ai eu un indice, je vais juste lui parler vite fait.
Good evening, Mr. Nethercott.
And good evening to you too, my good sir. Can I be of any help?
You don't really make a living from your scribblings, do you, Richard?
No, sir, I don't. I work so hard. I put all my time, my energy, my devotion into the precise carving of words.
When she was younger, my mother was a painter and a poet. She told me many times how poor her artist friends were and how she helped them.
My parents pay for my rent, my food, and my clothes. All I have to give them in return is lies they do not believe.
You seem embarrassed.
Someday I hope to proudly offer my first publication to my parents. Until that day, I'll remain the failure of a son they have to support.
C'est triste.
I'll leave you alone, sir.
Alors je crois qu'on va arrêter là et qu'on va essayer de rentrer chez ce Darius pour le prochain épisode. Sur ce, je vous souhaite une bonne nuit ou une bonne journée et je vous dis à toutes pour le prochain épisode.